The government controls this credit. It says the government is a sovereign. The government is the only one that's allowed to utter money, currency. The government now puts control over its own money that it creates. No other money is allowed to be generated, except by treaty arrangements with other nations. So you control all the money as government money going into the system. So that money is loaned. Now, money already in the system, which goes into the form of loan through banks, will also get the same kind of implicit benefit, because now you have a 1 to 2% rate throughout the entire banking system, private and public. But the speculators are stuck out there, and they're just going to sort of dwindle on the vine, shaking dryly in the wind. And so that's the way we maintain the system, by regulation and by adjustments in these arrangements. And that will work instantly. The federal government has to guarantee the private banks, there's the chartered private banks, it has to guarantee their stability. It has to guarantee the householders living in their communities, in their homes. Those two things must be guaranteed, and some other things of the same type. So you let the rest of the stuff work itself out. Floats, interest rates go, fine, fine. But you have to maintain an international fixed exchange rate system among major nations, and you must maintain the stability of your own internal physical economy. So you're going to essentially dry out whole sections of the market which are going to have to bankrupt themselves as being useless. You're going to get rid of them. But what the concern is, you've got a population of a certain size, communities and so forth. You want to make sure that community, that population is stable. And you let the other things, which are essentially parasitical, die of their own logic. So you have two credits. On the basis of that, by freeing government, the government operation and government credit, from this high-priced credit, private credit, what you do is you essentially create a fixed exchange rate system in the world. Now you create a system where nations, their currency values are fixed with respect to each other. So you put a lid on inflation. Now you can make long-term credit, because if the rate of interest is fluctuating because of inflation, you cannot engage in long-term investments. We need a lot of long-term investments, physical investments, to save the world. So you need a two-tier credit system. And that's the way we used to run things. We ran that. The United States had a two-tier credit system.
The first tier is for productive activities. If we are, at the root of our problem is a physical economic collapse. That's more important than the financial side of it. The fact that our industry has collapsed, that we don't produce things anymore, that we've been living off of our infrastructure, we've been cannibalizing our economy. Okay, you know, if you look at the triple curve, the lower curve, the upper curves, the money curves can go up, you know, hundreds of percent, thousands of percent. The bottom curve can only fall 100%. But that 100% is what kills you. And so you need to start rebuilding the productive end of your economy. And you need to provide money to do this at low interest rates, so that what you're spending your money for is not the cost of borrowing money, but you're spending your money to actually get the most productive boost you can, the most bang for the buck out of actual production. That's what you want. You want to spend your money on improving things. Okay? So you have directed government credit for specific projects. These are certain activities that we find necessary, and if you're going to engage in these activities, we're going to provide you with loans to do them at low interest rates, 1 or 2%.
With the sovereignty of the United States thus reestablished, in opposition to the policy of empire, it would finally become possible to realize the vision which Henry Carey presented for the development of the continental United States and the world.
You live in a society where, frankly, everything around you is bullshit. Huh? And if you can say to yourself, hey, this is bullshit, and then you can say it aloud to the people who believe in it, you're making it. You're doing fine. But if you can't, you're going to cave in. You're going to, well, I don't want to say that, you know. I agree with you, but I don't want to say that publicly. I got to go along with this stuff, you know. And that's where the crap comes in.
Reminds me of the Malaysian monkey trap, where they catch monkeys by putting a nut in a jar with a narrow neck. And the neck of the jar is wide enough so that the monkey can reach in and grab the nut, but once he grabs the nut, he can't pull his hand out. And all the monkey has to do to get away is let the nut go and pull his hand out, and then he's free. But the monkey won't do it. The monkey keeps holding on. This is mine. It's mine. I won't let it go. And then whoever put the trap there comes along later, and then they kill the monkey and eat it. And that's essentially the dilemma we're faced with. This paper has no value. This system is bankrupt. If we keep holding on to it, we're only going to destroy ourselves. So the solution is simple. You just have to let it go. And if you let it go, admit that it's bankrupt, tell the truth, then we can turn our attention to doing what we should have been doing all along, which is building the productive side of our economy, using the productive power, the creative power of the human mind to develop higher and higher technologies, you know, to go to a nuclear economy, maglev trains, all sorts of new raw materials to free the world from a lot of the problems we have with the existing shortages of raw materials, although a lot of that is not actually true. But still, you move on and progress, and that's what we can do. We can have a really bright future if we just let this go.